Thank you, Jay. Good afternoon, everybody. As you can see from the colour of my hair, I'm about the same age as Che, so I'm one of the older crew volunteers. And for me, like Jan, I followed the British Steel Challenge, having sailed in my younger days on the East Coast in the 1970s, and not had a chance to sail again due to business commitments. I was in partnership in a business with my wife, and the way I raised the money, I don't recommend it to anybody, but she decided to go off with a younger man, and part of the severance deal was she paid for the race. But having followed the British Steel Challenge with great interest, towards the end of the race, I got wind that there was possibly going to be another race, and I phoned the Challenge business and got on their mailing list. And the day that knowing that in the previous race the places had booked up very quickly, one Saturday morning through the post came a brochure with an application form, and I sat down, filled out the form. I drove over to Petersfield, which was where the office was at the time, and stuck the application through the door. I was making sure that I wasn't going to be missed out. I did my initial training in December 1993, week before Christmas. First time on a Challenge yacht, straight out into Force 9. And there's nothing like that to give you confidence in this very stable platform that's going to be your lifeline over a 10-month race. The race for us, we had a tremendous start, and the first few hours, which you obviously saw on television, you saw the slide today, was very rough. We got round Ushant and the wind changed. We sluiced through inside Ushant, put the spinnaker up, and we sailed under spinnaker all the way down to the equator. Crossed the equator with about half a day's delay with the doldrums, put the number 1 Yankee, staysail and full main up, and we reached for the next 3,000 miles, 2,500 miles. And for me, that was the most idyllic sailing on the whole race. There was one period of 21 hours when on our boat, everybody at that stage was having a go at everything. And everybody on the boat helmed the boat in turn. And for 21 hours, we averaged 10 knots. By day and by night, at night, sailing dressed like this, literally lining up on a star and steering on a star. We got into Rio in 3rd place. Great euphoria, having completed the first leg. As Che said, there was a certain apprehension during the course of the stopover, knowing that we were going to set off into the Southern Ocean. And we had a jolly good start in very poor conditions in Rio. No wind, or very little wind. We drifted across the line ahead of everybody else, round the first mark ahead, and set off down the coast of South America. We went round Cape Horn. Unfortunately, we didn't see Cape Horn. The skipper on concert, a chap called Chris Tibbs, who'd done 2 Whitbreads, he's now been round Cape Horn 3 times. He's never seen it. So he's got to go back and do it again. And 2,000 miles out from South America, we passed the waypoint that was designed to keep us out of the ice. We were sailing along in 45 knots of wind, very early one morning. We had number 3 Yankee, storm staysail, 3 reefs in the main. And as Che mentioned earlier, these boats very often become airborne. You go through, going to weather, the wave comes through underneath you, the boat's in midair, it crashes down. And for most of the way down from Southampton to Rio, and again down into the Southern Ocean, we were on one tack. And this was just one slam too many. The rig gave way, the mast folded and went over the side. I was down below at the time. There were only 3 people on deck. Nobody was hurt. That was the first thing that we were concerned about. And initially, we didn't have a chance to worry about being out of the race. We were too busy getting rid of the top section of the mast, which had gone over the side, rescuing the middle part, getting the boat tidy, and setting off under engine. We talked to the rest of the boats on the daily chat show. Twice a day, there's a radio chat show between the boats, with one boat being duty yacht and calling up all the others. And we told them on the chat show what had happened. One of the marvels of modern communication is that literally within minutes of the mast going down, we'd sent back a message on Inmarsat to race headquarters, so Che knew virtually within minutes of it happening. And obviously the first thing we said was that the rig's gone, everyone's okay, And so that was that. From the family's point of view, I think a thing which is worth mentioning is that the challenge business has got a very good system in place, and this system went into action. Helen Wybrow phoned all the families when more information had come through from the boat, and told them, look, tomorrow morning in the news you're going to see that Concert's lost the mast, but everyone's okay, nobody's hurt, and the boat's going to motor on to New Zealand, get a new mast there. That, my family told me when I got back, was very reassuring, and they were very complimentary at the way in which that was handled. We had a problem. We were 2,000 miles from New Zealand, 2,000 miles from South America. The nearest land, apart from Antarctica, was 5 miles straight down, which wasn't a lot of help to us. So we started motoring, and we did our calculations, and we knew that we needed more fuel. Another advantage of this race, because the boats are identical, an advantage to us was the fact that we were lying third at the time, was that the other boats had to sail past us. So in liaison through the duty yacht, in liaison with the other boats, first of all, Motorola rendezvoused with us, and we took 100 gallons of fuel from them. And that was an interesting exercise in seamanship, in transferring 100 gallons of fuel in 5-gallon cans between two yachts, with the boats bouncing up and down in very large seas. A couple of days later, Courtaulds caught up with us, and we took 100 gallons from them. And a few days later again, we took some more fuel from Time and Tide. And then we motored to the Chatham Islands. By that stage, we'd had a chance to come to terms with the fact that we were going to be out of the race, because the race rules required that we took a time penalty for using our engine. So from being in third place, 11 hours behind Group 4 when we left Rio, when we left Wellington sometime later, we were over 11 days behind them. So there was no chance of us catching up. As a crew, we came to terms with that very quickly. We said, well, we can sit here and cry in our beer, if we'd had any beer, or we can get on with it and make the most of what we've got left. We all signed up not just to do the race, but to do a circumnavigation, and also to have a lot of fun and have a big adventure. Well, there's nothing stopping us doing that. So we said, right, well, we're going to go for leg prizes. We got stuck in, we motored on, we hammered on over Christmas Day, with the engine droning away at 1,800 revs. And New Year's Eve, having talked to our sponsor in Inmarsat, Devra Cohen, who is the project manager for our sponsor, said, well, wherever you guys land, I'll be there. So we arranged a rendezvous with her at the Chatham Islands, where we were going in to refuel. And we arrived there on New Year's Eve. And we had one hell of a New Year's party, something that none of the other fleet had. And as being in the Chatham Islands, which is the first place in the world to see a new year, because they have a very strange place. There are 270 inhabitants, and most of them are interrelated. I think that photograph that Che showed you of the crew volunteer, I think he was one of them. But we had a wonderful party, and we saw the new year in 45 minutes before New Zealand, because for some reason, best known to themselves, their time zone is 45 minutes ahead of New Zealand. We then motored rapidly into Wellington for the most incredible emotional welcome. We came in through the harbour at 5 o'clock on a Friday evening. I think half the population of Wellington was out to greet us. All the boats were in, apart from the last boat, Heath and Short. So as we motored past all the boats, all the crews were on board. We got a tremendous welcome. We actually managed to sail over the line with our stumpy mast, and we'd rigged a spinnaker boom as a gaff. So we had something that looked a bit like a Middle East felucca with a very low aspect rig. And a spinnaker that we'd torn earlier in the leg, we revamped that. So we had a spinnaker flying off our low-level mast, and we sailed over the line at 6 knots. They gave us a gun, which was very nice of them, and an absolutely rousing welcome. New mast fitted, and we went for it and had a tremendous race. It didn't affect our attitude to the race. We had a wonderful time. We finished up achieving a second, 2/3, a fifth and a sixth on the various legs and a non-finish. And overall we finished 13th, but it didn't matter because we'd had a great time. The effect of the mast going down, if anything, bonded the crew together even more. And if you ask anybody in the fleet, which is the happy crew, it was the concert crew. A great bunch of people. I felt very privileged to sail with them. I was old enough to be most of their fathers. And that put me in a privileged position where they looked after me by sending me off the foredeck. And if they got any troubles, they came and talked to Uncle John. So all I can say is I know you're going to have an absolutely wonderful time. One thing that perhaps I would say is that the race does present a tremendous strain on families. I mean, I mentioned jokingly the situation that happened to me. Nothing to do with the race. But what I would say to you all is, partners, get as involved as you can. Be part of it. It's one hell of a lot of fun. The guys that are going away, they're going to be away for 10 months. They're going to be very busy. When they come back, they'll be different. You at home will be different. But the more you can get involved, the more you'll all get out of it. And it's a great race to follow. I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you.
How you want us to carry on? I don't think he's got tape in there at all. John, thank you very much.